If you're thinking of moving from London to Virginia, here's what you need to know.
The Virginians had a very unique culture and strong beliefs, customs, and architecture that they took along with them to the new settlements. Examples of architecture include barns, homes, and places of worship. Prior to the arrival of settlers, American Indians populated in Virginia, and after the arrival of the settlers, the American Indians were forced inland. The culture of Virginia reflected American Indian, African, and European origins. This included art and many different languages. In 1619, the first slaves were brought to Virginia. For most of the 1600s, indentured servants worked the colony's tobacco fields, and by 1705, Virginia had become a slave society. All power was in the hands of white male landowners. Whereas women were not encouraged to be independent, women who were married and worked at home were considered good wives, and those who didn't obey these proper roles were considered to be trouble.
Economic tools. Indentured servants are useful because they are the labor force that work on a tobacco farm since tobacco is such a major industry for Virginia. They get to come to the New World for free, and after a few years of work, they get their freedom. An axe is needed to cut the tobacco. This tool makes it easy for the indentured servants and later slaves to work, and it helps maximize efficiency. A hogshead barrel is needed to store and ship the tobacco from the colonies to Europe. Practical tools. From the abundance of wood in Virginia, wood is the primary material to use for buildings. It is especially used for framework and siding. Southern wood, a fern, is used for insect repellent, which helps prevent diseases from mosquitoes, and is also treatment for upset stomach. There is nothing else that can help and/or prevent these problems, so this is really needed. Clay is used to hold the wood together because colonists weave wood strips and put clay on the strips to make walls and roofs for the houses and any other buildings. The process was called wattle and daub. This is good to have because it is very flexible and keeps everything together. A modern tool would be mosquito nets. They would be useful because many colonists were by water, which had many mosquitoes that had malaria. These nets would protect the settlers from the mosquitoes when they slept, decreasing the chance of getting malaria.
The most important document is the Charter of 1606. It was important because King James in England assigned rights to land to the colonists to spread Christianity. The document was shared from King James in England to the Joint Stock Virginia Company. The biggest troublemaker here is John Smith, as he was the leader of the colony and he got captured by natives. When he was captured, his colony went into a period of starvation. Our MVP here in Virginia is Pocahontas. She was able to save John Smith, and she was one of the most vital people in settling Jamestown, as she reestablished a well-working relationship between the natives and the colonists. Who wouldn't want to come to a place with a hero?
The biggest obstacle here is disease, as when the first round of colonists were coming over, they were hit hard, and less than 1/4 of the colonists survived in the first year. The disease was based in the water where they drank, but now we're all good and our population is living. The biggest asset to help us keep living was the planting of beans, squash, and corn, also known as Three Sister Farming, and it was a huge help to the colonists. We were finally able to sustain ourselves and develop their own colony.
The native population of Virginia was estimated to be around 50,000. The main tribes were the Catawba, Cherokee, Croatoan, and tribes of the Powhatan Confederacy. Conflicts with the natives included Bacon's Rebellion, which was caused by land-hungry settlers who wanted land that natives resided on, but the government was too wary to take. The gender distribution in Virginia heavily favored men. 1 in 6 migrants were women, and for the majority of the 7th century, men outnumbered women 3 or 4 to 1. Women whose husbands were indentured servants would work along them, and single women did business just like men. From the uneven ratio of women and men, scattered settlement, high mortality rate, and frequent marriages, women were less oppressed. In Virginia, there were 500,000 in total, 200,000 were slaves, and the life expectancy was 36 years, with many people dying between 20 and 30. The government in Virginia was originally run by the Virginia Company of London. No common people had the opportunity to appoint their leaders. There was voting since Virginia was first established, but the people who were allowed to vote was very constrained. Only members of the governing council or the political or military leaders later appointed by the company were allowed to vote on managing the colony until the company created a representative assembly in 1619. Only white male property owners could vote or serve as an elected official in colonial Virginia. Voters chose their representatives in the House of Burgesses in the General Assembly and members of Anglican vestry who governed the local parish. However, that was the extent of their voting rights. After that, all the other decisions were made by the people who were voted in. The religions in Virginia were Protestant and Anglican. Religious reform came to Virginia with the Great Awakening of 1740. Different styles of Protestant worship emerged through the Great Awakening. New forms of Christianity emerged like the Baptists, Presbyterians, and Methodists. These religions first attracted non-elite Virginians, but eventually even the rich joined the new denominations. The diversity in Virginia was not homogeneous. In the southern colonies, the English made up 37% of the total. They were the dominant social group and the most powerful. Virginia had about 2/5 of all the slaves in the southern region living there. Southern colonies were the most diverse of all of them. Tobacco farming was the main economic activity in Virginia, which was started by John Rolfe. Virginia depended on agriculture, with tobacco being its main crop. Tobacco farming grew because of slave labor, which Virginia became very dependent on. Tobacco was sent to Europe to be sold. Virginia has very fertile soil, which makes it great for farming. And the geography in Virginia was hilly, and they had the Appalachian Mountains in the west.
Hope you consider moving to Virginia.